Today I'm giving you a tour of my electronic music live rig for 2024. Freebeat. Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome to Freebeat. Today's patron shoutout goes to Manfred. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. I have long believed that live performance is one of the key pillars, one of the pinnacles that makes up a great musician. And I've been obsessed with live performance for a very long time. I love playing live. I've done it in many different venues, many different stages. I do the free live stream concerts every summer here on the channel, and this summer will be no different. But I've never played live as a solo act, as Freebeat, and I've never really played live in the electronic music space before. That changes in just a couple days, because I've finally booked my first proper live gig as Freebeat. I'll be playing on Sunday, May 19th at The Crypt in Olympia, Washington at 9 p.m. I believe it's $10 at the door to get in. I'm really excited. I'm also really nervous, and I hope to see some of you there. Today, I'm going to go over the live rig that I've spent the past year or so building and talking about a few rules that I've made for myself while playing live, a guiding principle that I used to help guide me as I built the live rig. Then we'll go over all the gear. I'll talk about, really quick, my in-ear system, and I'll talk about transportation and just kind of show you how everything works. So let's talk about those rules I mentioned for when I'm playing live. These are rules I've set for myself. Every sound that comes out of this live rig behind me has to either be played live by me, so using drumsticks on the SP-DSX, the drum pads, the finger drum pads on the SP404 Mark II, the key step, hitting a pedal on my pedal board, or even hitting one of these buttons here on the Launch Control XL, or a sound can be played live by me and then looped on the RC600, my loop pedal, or it has to be triggered by me live. The next rule is that there can be no sequencers and nothing can be synced up. So no sequencers, that one's pretty simple. Now obviously most of this gear behind me is connected via MIDI, however nothing is tempo synced. Everything is free floating. There's also no backing tracks allowed either. I do have some longer samples though, but because nothing is synced up, let's say I trigger like a 45-second sample, let's say it's super rhythmic, and I trigger it like a few milliseconds early or late, I'm gonna have to live with those consequences for the duration of that sample. So I'll either have to adjust my own playing, or if I'm playing something or playing over something that's looped, it's just gonna be rough for the duration of that sample. I'm going with a high-risk, high-reward setup. And then I did mention a guiding principle that I used to help put the whole rig together, and that was that I wanted the rig to focus as much on actual playing as possible. So I didn't want to spend any time bent over at the pedal board adjusting things, and I didn't want to feel the constant need to look down at my feet as I was pushing a bunch of different pedals. I wanted to focus on playing live and interacting with the audience. And as you'll see in a little bit here, thanks to one particular piece of gear, I was able to accomplish that. Okay, so as you can see, the live rig is broken down into 3 main sections here. Let's start right here on the drum side of things. So this is the Roland SP-DSX. This is my drum pad. It's a sampler, so I can put any sounds I want, any samples on these 9 pads here. I can also plug in external triggers, so I've got this PDX-8 as a snare pad down there, and I also have a Roland Yamaha KU100, sorry, as my kick drum pedal. Those do have a few different sounds throughout the course of the show, but yeah, for the most part, all of my drum sounds are in here. Next up, we have the kind of front-facing area here, the main area almost. Here we obviously have the Roland SP404 Mark II, the Arturia key step, and the Novation Launch Control XL, as well as if we look up, we have my Shure SM57, which is my mic for addressing the crowd, and I actually do kind of sing on one song. The SP404 Mark II over here houses every other sound basically in the show that isn't drum related. All the samples are in there. The 404 Mark II is very versatile. You get 16 projects, and each can hold up to 160 samples. So my set is only 7 songs long, so there's just plenty of sample storage in there. And the way that I use the 404 Mark II is actually kind of interesting. I use it more as like a multi-sampler than anything else. See, for a while, I was looking for a keyboard controller that I could split into many different zones to be able to play, each zone on a different MIDI channel and have different sounds on every zone. But then I realized that thanks to the very generous sample space on the 404 Mark II, I could literally just multi-sample each sound to each key that I wanted here, on the keyboard. So I trigger the 404 Mark II with the key step, and every sound has been sampled individually. It also allows me to easily tailor volumes and things like that and EQ per sample. And it has worked out fantastically. There are a couple instances where I'll press a key on the key step and it will actually trigger something on the SPD SX as well. But for the most part, I'm triggering sounds from the SP404. And those are sourced from everywhere, from Ableton to like the 1010 Fireball, to my OPZ, actually. I grabbed a few of the original sounds for like Ghost in the Galaxy. I grabbed some stuff off of the Cobalt 5S and the Korg Volca keys. Yeah, samples came from everywhere for the actual instrument sounds, so that was cool. Then we also have the Novation Launch Control XL. Up until recently, I was using the Launchpad Mini Mark III. But then once I started using the RC600 over the Sheeran Looper X, I realized that I would really prefer to have faders and knobs to control the effects on there. So a lot of times I'll have like filters for my first 3 tracks, either input or just track effects here like that. I've also got the SP404's effects mapped up there too, so I can adjust those if I need to. And this also has a few functions like this button here I call Next Event, which I'll talk about that in a minute. There's forward and back buttons up there, and those actually trigger program changes through one of my pedals that then trigger program changes for everything except the SP404, which I don't believe receives program change. Then I also have the record arm button right here set to toggle my mic between mute and unmuted, so I can adjust the crowd easily. Yeah, that's the main setup, the main rig here. And that brings us down here to the pedal board. So the board itself is the... Oh, look at that piece of fuzz. Ugh. The pedal board itself is the Pedal Train Classic 1, I believe, which is cool because it also comes with this big case, which I will briefly talk about transportation at the end of the video. But yeah, we've got the Boss RC600 here. This is my looper. Then we also have the Boss VE500 over here, which was a very last-minute addition to the rig. Shout out to my wife for the big surprise there. Then we have arguably the star of the show that makes everything possible. This is the Morningstar MC6 Pro. And then we also have a Boss FS5U over here. And really quick, I will just thank Zounds, Zounds.com. I'll shout them out for letting me take a look and borrow this Boss RC600 for use in the live set. I also have the Sheeran Looper X on loan from them as well. There will be a comparison video coming out hopefully pretty soon. I'm kind of holding out to see if Sheeran releases a firmware update or not, but that's neither here nor there right now. Anyway, let's talk about this rig. So all of the audio goes into the RC600. I run stereo out of the SP404 Mark II into the RC600. Then I run a mono out of the main from the SPD-SX from the drums, and then I run a mono out from the sub out of the SPD, the drum pad, into the other instrument in there. I actually have instrument 2 set to 2 mono channels, so I'm able to route stuff separately out of the SPD-SX, which is very handy. Then I also run my microphone into the VE500, and then out of that into the mic in on the RC600. This right here is a mono output from the main of the RC that I've just been running into my board, but I will run a stereo pair out to the front of house for the actual gig. Then we've got headphones here, which I will talk about that in a minute too. And then I have MIDI in and out of the RC600. So let's talk about the Morningstar MC6 Pro, because I've mentioned it several times, but this thing is really what makes the whole show happen. This pedal is incredibly customizable. You can basically have any of these 6 switches do whatever you want. There's 128 banks, which are like songs, and each bank can have up to 4 pages of 6 pedals, and those are all called presets, and they can be accessed by any pedal at any time. It's absolutely wild. Each pedal can send up to 32 MIDI messages at once on this thing. Or you can have a pedal send those messages sequentially, meaning you press a pedal, it sends a message, press it again, sends another message, and so forth. My goal with this rig was to get it to the point where I could simply hit one pedal every time a new event needed to happen. And an event could be anything from like arming the first track of my looper, to triggering a sample on the SP404 or the SPDSX, to turning a vocal effect on or off on the VE500, to changing a MIDI CC waveform, which this thing can also generate basically LFOs for MIDI CCs, which is wild. It's so cool. But yeah, an event can be really whatever you want. So I set that up and got it working after some finagling, which I'll do an in-depth video on that in the future because it's pretty complicated, and I want this to be about the whole, or the rig as a whole, rather than one particular element. But basically, I went through and programmed each song perfectly so that all I have to do when there's a new event that needs to happen is just push this pedal. And then what I did is I actually took this Boss FS5U, I plugged it into the back of the Morningstar, and I set this pedal up to trigger this switch. So when I push this pedal, watch the RC600. That starts the count off, the click track. And I'll push it again, track 1's gonna start recording. If I push it again, track 3's gonna get ready to go. This is all for my opening song, which is Mystery Hour. There it goes, now it's recording. Now I'll push it again, and now track 2 is recording. And these are all predetermined lengths in here too. So it's gonna keep recording until track 2 makes it through 4 bars, which should be now. Yep, and now track 4 is recording, which isn't even represented here by a pedal, but it is on the screen if you can see that. Basically, this pedal is my best friend in the show, and anytime something needs to happen, I just push this pedal and it happens. That way I can focus on playing my instruments, you know, up top and interacting with the crowd. You saw me hit the button right here. This is actually not all start/stop right now. This is like my emergency all clear. It just clears everything on whatever song I'm on. And then this button here, as you can see, it says reset scroll. When I hit this, the scroll count for whatever song I'm on will restart completely. So this and this resets whatever song I'm on to the complete top, no matter what. So hopefully I don't have to use those two in the show. But they're there if I need them, which it's always nice to have a backup plan in case something goes wrong. So yes, the Morningstar MC6 Pro combined with the Boss FS5U, the flexible routing and assigning on the RC600, which I haven't even gone into that. It's all so powerful, and this MC6U has really allowed me to tie everything together. Also, you might be wondering why the VE500 is way off to the side. It will be sitting in the center for the show, but I don't have any right angle MIDI cables. So one of those is actually showing up tomorrow. So I'll be able to use that, and then I'll be able to slide the pedal over a bit and it'll fit on the board. I mentioned my in-ear monitors. They are these just cheapo Amazon ones. They're CCA brand. They're actually really not bad. I figure no sense in upgrading these, at least not yet. Not until I've played a couple shows and dialed things in, and then maybe I'll get like a pair of Shure SE315s or something like that. I used to use the 215s on stage, and I loved them. But yeah, for like $30, these are great. And these plug into something I'm very happy to have. This thingy here. This thingy. There we go. This is the F-Zone P4, I think it's called. It is a little headphone amp that actually has a belt clip, right? So that can clip to my belt. The headphones, or the IEMs, the in-ear monitors, plug in right here. Runs on a pair of AAA batteries. I can pick stereo or mono. I have a little volume control here. And then the headphone out of my RC600, which also acts as the mixer, like I mentioned, just plugs in the bottom here. And this is a TRS XLR combo jack. I just plug in the headphones out of the RC600 into my headphone amp here. Then I clip it to my belt. Obviously, in a real scenario, it would go on the back. Then I take my in-ears, plug them in, run them up my back, put them in my ears, flip the switch on there, and we are good to go. I'm fully monitored and I'm in control of my own in-ear mix because it's all done through the RC600 and I can set that up per song, which is awesome. All right, let's talk about transportation really quick. That was one thing that I was pretty nervous for. Basically, everything is broken down into 3 parts. This hardware bag here, which I've had since like my high school drumming days, fits everything except for the SP404 Mark II and the pedal board down there and all the cables. For the SP404, I've got this backpack here and it fits perfectly in this slot. I've traveled with it many times, and then all the cables are snaked together with cable ties and they coil nicely and just go in this bag all organized. My in-ears go in this little top pouch here. And of course I did mention that my pedal board, the Pedal Train Classic 1, came with a very nice case, and this is it. Everything fits in here very neatly with all of the pedals on board, well, as soon as I move that VE500 over. And all of these cables actually stay plugged in on the board. I've cable tied a lot of excess cable length underneath the board, and let's say for like the Morningstar MC6 Pro, which is just plugged into the power strip here, I've actually put a little bit of Velcro on the end of the cable itself, so when it's time to travel, I can just fold it over and stick it to the board right there, just like that. So it can go into the case without any issue, and it fits perfectly. And that's it for transportation. The thing that was super important transportation-wise for me was the ability to carry it all in one trip from the car to the venue. So a backpack on my shoulders, that hardware bag has a handle, and the pedal board case has a handle. That's one trip for everything. And that is it for the live rig. I have fit everything into this rig that I was hoping to. I'm very happy with how it works, and I can't wait to debut it live in person. Again, I hope to see some of you there. Should be a pretty fun time. I will be filming at least parts of the show. I'll hopefully be capturing the audio for everything, and I will hopefully be posting that somewhat soon as well. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the tour. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Again, Sunday, May 19th at the Crypt in Olympia, Washington, 9 p.m. Hope to see some of you there. Thank you so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.